This is the solution to the exercise in Lesson 5. In this exercise, we'll basically follow a very similar path to what we did in the video for Lesson 5. And that is, first of all, that we're going to create a new project, and we're going to call this Lesson 05 Exercise. And we'll make sure to put it in our CBegin2 folder. And you need to make sure that it's also a Windows application under the Visual C# project type. And then click OK. And so basically what we'll do is drag and drop, first of all, a text box, and we'll go ahead and drag a checkbox as well. And so in order to fulfill the first bullet, which is to write an event that whenever the user tabs out of the text box that will raise the event, we're going to go over to the events and we'll look for the leave, and we'll double click, and here we'll write message box dot show leave, and we don't want to forget our semicolon at the end of our line. The next one requests that we make whenever a user makes a selection or a check in the checkbox. So we didn't work with the checkbox before, so we're going to have to kind of look through the events and find one that satisfies what we're looking for. And I think the click will probably do just fine. So I'm going to double click, and it creates private void checkbox 1 click. Here I'm going to write messagebox.show click, and then the third bullet point in our exercise description asks that whenever the user types a value in the text box, to display that in a message box. So let's go back, let's select our text box, and then find the text changed event. There we go. So I'm going to double click that, and that should work. So now let's go ahead and save and run our application just to check what we've done so far. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is whenever it leaves focus, we're going to use the tab button, and you'll notice that we get our leave box. So I'm going to click the checkbox, and notice we get our click event that we're looking for. And then whenever somebody types in, let's say, a different letter here, the text change event fires. Now there was an extra credit as well, and this is a good segue into the next lesson. And that extra credit said to actually display the value that the user typed into the text box into the message. So instead of typing or putting here text change, what we're going to do instead is text box 1 dot text. So we're going to take the text property and display that back to the user. So now let's save this and run the application. And so, for example, I'm going to click the Q on my keyboard and see what happens. And notice that when I typed in Q, it raised the event, thus firing off our event handler that we created, and it displays a Q. Whatever's in that text box is also in our message box. So I'm going to put in the next letter, U, and now we have QU. So looks like it works the way that we've defined in the exercise. So again, this is a good segue into talking about setting the properties of objects within code, like we've retrieved the property from an object, the text box, in our code.